Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Queen Studios third scale statue review. Now today I am so freaking excited. We're taking a look at none other than Robert Pattinson in the Batsuit from the 2022 film The Batman. I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They do have installment plans and a reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button so you're notified as soon as a brand new Hot Toys review, statue review or figure preview video goes live on the channel. Before we do get stuck in though, I want to say a massive thank you to my buddy at Slam Collections here on YouTube for helping me film this statue review. He's helped me with past videos, but this one with the red lighting, oh, I am so happy with the end result. Now, I didn't think this guy was due for a while. We literally got the film in 2022, and it's not often a statue company has this quick of a turnaround, but Queen Studios, they've got it dialed in, they know exactly what they're doing. We're still waiting for J&D, and we're still waiting for Prime 1. Both versions, the Jim Lee artist concept version and the actual Robert Pattinson one. I do have all of those versions on pre-order though, so as soon as they come in, don't worry, I'll do reviews and we'll get to doing some comparisons as well. But this one is the first cab off the rank. Does that though, by default, mean it's the winner? Of course not. We have to put it through its paces and find out if it's any good. Spoiler alert, it is. Now, it's not perfect. There is one thing that, depending on how you look at it, is either going to make the statue for you or break it entirely. And I'm fairly certain you know what I'm talking about. It's currently on screen, but we'll get there. It's coming up in just a second. Now, I opted for the version with the rooted hair, Robert Pattinson head sculpt, but if you're not interested in that head sculpt, there are multiple different versions. It's entirely up to you. For me though, I was all the way in. How could I not be? That frazzy, messy looking hair from when he ripped the cowl off? It's iconic to this version of the Caped Crusader. But starting off with the display base first, this is the one thing that's going to upset a lot of people. I can already see the comments. What's that weird looking squished car? It looks so goofy. And yes, I understand, it's kind of this shrunken down, squished Batmobile that's meant to be almost a super deformed style for the display base. Does it work? From certain angles, yeah, I think it does. But from others, no, not so well. From the side you can see how squat it is and how tall the roof is, plus how flat the back end is, but there is a lot of detail here. And it lights up, and from the front of the statue, which is technically the back of the car, it's all on display. There's a bunch of sculpt work, it's very nicely painted, it's metallic, it's also dirty and grimy. Now, do I think a different display base would have worked better? Yeah, probably, but at the same time, I've kind of come around. I don't hate this display base as much as I thought I was going to. It may sound like I'm making excuses for the base. I'm not. I'm very well aware a lot of people aren't going to like this base. It's going to have to be up to you. Please, weigh in down below. Moving up to Batman's boots though, oh, this is where the fun begins. There is so much texture. There's a bunch of leather grain on the Austrian military boots, and you can see that they're supposed to be two separate pieces. You got the boot and then the boot guard. There's wrinkling, there's laces, there's stitching, and there's weathering all over. And the same thing goes for the trousers of the flight suit. There's stitching, there's wrinkling, there's multiple different textures, and also multiple different layers of weathering. There are a bunch of different colors here. I also dig the little pop of yellow just above his boot. As for switch outs though, while we're here, may as well, you can switch out the right hand to hold the sticky bomb gun. And when you do, you've got an empty holster. It's not an actual removable sticky bomb gun, you get two holsters, one full and of course one empty. Now, no matter what you say, you cannot convince me he used this weapon in the movie. When he used the sticky bombs, there was no sign of a gun. It's not his grapnel gun because they're sculpted on the inside of his gauntlets. Nice detail, thank you Queen Studios, but I'm fairly certain the sticky bomb gun was only seen in concept art. I have seen the movie 7 times and I was watching very closely. Then again, there's always a chance I could be wrong, and I'm sure you'll let me know if I am down below. Will I be displaying him with the gun or without? Probably without. I'm all for screen accuracy, and like I just said, in the movie, I don't think he used it. At the very least, the holster is fully sculpted and detailed on the inside and the outside, plus weathered, on both the full and empty versions. Like I just said though, we do have the grappling guns. They are sculpted permanently to the gauntlets, so no, you can't have him hold them, they're not removable. They're fixed in position. I also dig the fact that the little scallops on his gauntlets aren't actually spikes, they're kind of like straps where he's tightened them. A nice touch and kind of grounds the entire suit in a little bit more realism. As for the belt, it's very police style. It's got a mix of different textures and finishes, once again, slightly glossy in areas and slightly more matte in others. Now, unlike the Prime 1 version, none of the stuff is openable or removable. Everything is sculpted in position. A lot of people are going to prefer that though, because I know folks prefer sculpted statues over mixed media ones. The gauntlets are nicely detailed with the pins on the outside painted in silver, some speckling of dirt on the surface. Then for the bicep guard, once again a pop of yellow, just like down above the boot, which is a good way of tying the look together, top and bottom, very cohesive. Now, around the back when you don't have the cape on, there is so much detail. But around the front, there is a lot to look at here as well. We do have a very subtle texture, but my favourite part isn't really the texture, it's all the wrinkling and pulling. It actually looks like fabric pulled over some armour plating. Where, like I said, I don't mean to repeat myself, but all of this is sculpted. Now, in the film, I'm fairly certain this was some kind of repurposed flight suit, because around the back we have a bunch of zippers and some crisscross kind of braided sections as well. In real life, this suit, yes, it is this colour. I have seen pictures of it on display, the real screen-used item, and this is pretty much spot on. As for the head sculpt though, arguably the most important thing here. Does it do enough heavy lifting, the one without the cowl on, to save it from that funky display base? For me personally, yeah, I think it does. This looks 100% like Robert Pattinson. Now, some people may not dig the way I've styled the hair, and for that, I'm sorry. I did a little bit of futzing and styling to get it to look as close as possible to how he appeared on screen, but you can always move it around. It's rooted hair. You can style it as you choose. He does also have the black eye makeup, which is kind of interesting. I've always said that when Batman takes off the cowl, either Ben Affleck or Michael Keaton or even Christian Bale, where does the eye makeup go? Wear it as a badge of honor. It's war paint, goddammit. I'm so sorry. Clearly I've thought way too much about this. Now, if you do want to pop the cape on, super simple. Chest plate comes off, you slide over the cape over the shoulders, and it magnetizes in position. Then, who would have guessed the chest plate magnetizes right back on, really securely. As for the head sculpt, yep, it's a magnet as well. And that magnet is quite sturdy. Switching it out for the cowled head sculpt, which I'm fairly certain 99.99% of you will be displaying in your collection, as I will. Yeah, this is incredible work as well. Likeness to Robert Pattinson is there from every angle, just like the rooted hair head sculpt, but this time, I don't know, the texture on that cowl, it's dialed up to 11. There's even more leather grain, there's even more stitching, there's dents and scratches, it's worn and it's very torn. Plus, for the mouthplate section, there's stubble, there are multiple different layers of paint, and that pout is undeniably Robert Pattinson. His eyes are also this lighter bluish green, which to me looks spot on. Please, do weigh in. Am I going crazy? Have I stared at this thing too long? Right now, he is staring into my soul. That expression is very fierce. Thank goodness it's moving again. In all seriousness though, this head sculpt makes me so very happy. He was that fierce in the cowl in the movie, and his eyes did a lot of heavy lifting for his emoting. What do I mean by that? Well, he didn't move around a ton, and his mouth area didn't really give away his emotions. Whereas when they opened up the trunk to discover the dead body of Catwoman's partner, his eyes, they were wide as hell and you could tell exactly what he was thinking. Some quick housekeeping though, when you do pop the cape on, there are a bunch of wires, meaning you can shape it around the shoulder pads, which I suggest you do. Then we do have wires along the edges, but I opt to tuck them behind the scallops if I do want it draping down. If you do want to get more dynamic though, you absolutely can, the wires are super strong. Also, the cape is suitably weathered at the bottom and a little bit at the top, just for good measure. Now, I was worried that this was going to be pleather, but luckily it isn't. It's made of this kind of plasticky nylon material, so fingers crossed it'll stand the test of time. Now, you can go crazy with this cape. You can have it draping there, but for me, I'm gonna have it billowing in the wind. I love a wired cape, and this one, oh boy, it gets the job done, no problem whatsoever. The stitching is very clean and it is 2-ply. The inside feels a touch more like nylon, which makes sense at least to me, because in the film, don't forget this was a wingsuit. He pulled the tabs, it kind of expanded and it became his wingsuit, zipped it up, and away he went. Unfortunately, that didn't end super well. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. Now, like I said just a second ago, the cape up top is weathered also. There's some speckling of dirt and grime, so it does tie the entire thing together. How could dirt get up the top of the cape? I don't know. Does it look good? Yeah, I think it does. Could they have left it clean? Yes, absolutely. However, Queen Studios, they're not noobs. They know what they're doing. So if it's here on the statue, it must be there IRL. Now, depending on which head sculpt you want to go with, either cowled or uncowled, well, great news, there's a mini bust as well. So if you want to pop the cowl on the statue, you can switch out the head sculpt super easy, barely an inconvenience. Then with the spare head sculpt, the Bruce Wayne one in this particular situation, you can pop it on the bust and you can display both of them. Cause this head sculpt is so freaking good, how could you not display it? The bust is just as well sculpted and painted as the actual statue. So, wrapping up on Queen Studios 1/3 scale The Batman from The Batman, am I happy? I've already told you I am. This thing is a downright showstopper. If I did have any complaints though, there would only be one. Now, I don't hate the display base. I've said multiple times, I'm actually kind of warming up to it, especially around the front, because it's the back of the car and that Batmobile in the movie, oh, it was a beast. So seeing the engine, seeing the LEDs on, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But one little dark secret that the base has is the battery compartment and the light switch is underneath. Why, Queen Studios, why? So that means number 1, button cell batteries, no USB power or even AA's. And number 2, when you want to turn the lights on, you have to lift the entire thing, which is not easy. This statue is very heavy. So if anything could have spent a little bit more time in the oven, it would have been the display base, at least in my opinion. Now, does that mean this statue isn't going in the display? Of course not. This thing is 100% going out in the display because it's too good not to. Even though that display base is polarizing, I reckon if you give this statue a chance, the quality of everything else will more than make up for the display base. That is, of course, if you don't like it, you could be one of the people who do, like I'm starting to be. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have installment plans and a reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.